Welcome to Season 1, Episode 8. This episode, we have a special guest. Our friend Kiley Little joins us to talk about her home team, the Raptors, and their game against the Celtics. Keep your chin up, Kiley. She Zooms with us from Toronto, where it's freezing cold and our connection is just slightly glitchy. Sorry about that. As usual, we start with a check-in from Sam's mom, go over the game. I tell Sam some of the ridiculous things the announcers say, which leads us to have a long conversation about the term bee sting, which I thought was bee sting, like getting stung by a bee. It's not. Then we learn about Payton Pritchard and Jameson battle. Sam and I play an NBA-themed game of Would You Rather? Spoiler, he wants Jokic to be his therapist. We finish with the MVP, LVP, most confusing part, and what we've learned. It's our best episode yet. This is Season 1, Episode 6.
With an asterisk.
With an asterisk.
Because there were 2 with August before.
Right. And Kiley, you're our first guest.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you. It's exciting. I thought Sam was the perpetual guest. Okay. And then I got the new guest, and Sam wasn't going to be here, but I'm delighted that Sam is here.
I'm like a co-host with the asterisk.
Oh.
Okay. So we watched the Celtics Raptors game. I apologize. I didn't know it was going to go like this.
You couldn't know. I mean, you could. The Raptors are terrible, but it was pretty bad.
I did learn that they were approaching this game after an 11-game losing streak. So I thought this was going to be like the real comeback against the national champions at their home.
Yeah.
You were surely mistaken.
Yes. So Kiley, we start our podcast with reviews that we've gotten on the podcast and whatever text or texts we've gotten from Sam's mom. And so I have a review from August.
Really?
Yeah. And he said it was good.
Whoa.
I know.
That's high praise.
Yeah, I know.
Very in-depth review.
Yeah. So that's my review. Okay. What'd your mom say?
All right. My mom said, I have just a couple comments on the last podcast. Dad often marvels at the number of coaches lined up on the benches. And then in quotes, what do they do? Because we talked about this last time.
No, it's a good question.
She said, I believe I've heard the players talk about the one-on-one help they get on days off in the off season. And Tatum in particular has gotten a lot of help from Sam Cassell, who had a long career in the NBA. He's a Celtics assistant coach who was great. And she said there was a time when the team just had one head coach, think Red Auerbach. And then Bill Russell was, so this is like in the late 60s. Bill Russell was a player coach. He did both.
Oh my gosh, he really is Russell with the hustle.
Different guy.
But still the hustle.
Still, he worked hard, yeah.
Now we know.
So that's all she had for that game. Do you want to talk about Scalabrine and Drew Carter right now?
Yes. So because that's the basics of the game, I start with the announcers for this game are these 2 guys, Drew Carter and Brian Scalabrine. And they show them. They do not look like what I thought they were going to look like.
Okay.
They're very young. He's so young.
He's so young. So before this guy, Mike Gorman and Tommy Heinsohn, we've talked about them before, were the Celtics broadcasters for like 30 plus years. Long time. Maybe Gorman might have been close to 40. And I'm wondering if they're shooting for the same thing. With getting Drew Carter in.
Interesting.
And Scal is probably early 40s, maybe.
Right.
So
if that.
Have them till they're like 60?
Yeah, I at least like if they want to do it. I think but are you and your Nuggets people have been there forever. I bet it's good to have like voice recognition and like to have those be consistent and know what you're getting.
I love that you just said your Nuggets. Like Irish is fully in it now.
She's an authentic fan. It's true.
For your Nuggets.
Yep.
But mom said at the beginning that they would almost bicker, like when they first started working together, which would have been great to hear.
I would have loved that.
Drew Carter and Scal. She said Scal was quick to correct an opinion Drew would express.
Whoa.
It's normal though in the NBA. Like Reggie Miller is just like always arguing with anyone that he's commentating with.
Yeah, because she said it's improved, but she said basically like the banter's been really good, and Drew Carter does a lot of research and has some interesting facts and statistics, and then it's funny and informative. So wait, I looked up sneaky hard Google looking up assistant coaches.
Yes.
Did you try too?
Well, I always kind of try and figure out who is on the sidelines.
So I can't tell. There's a list on like the Celtics website. It's like 13-ish coaches.
Yeah.
Something like that. The only one that has a different title than any of the others. One of them is the main Celtics head coach. There are like 13 or 14 people on this list, and the only one who has a different title than any of the others is called a player enhancement coach.
That's the style coach.
Plastic surgery and
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like, oh, you got to trim that beard.
Yeah. I looked that up, and I think it's like trying to tailor individual drills and stuff for individual guys to work on what they want. It's got to be such a boys club. These guys.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I still don't know. I still don't know what these people do. Like they all have the same title.
What, just coach?
There's like 13 assistant coaches listed with the one guy as a player enhancement coach.
They probably
kinda-
just figured that like the average plebeian doesn't need to know the inner details of what their role is. So they're just an assistant coach.
I was trying to think about that. Would there be any advantage to not sharing that?
I don't know.
I couldn't come up with anything.
Have their own titles and roles on each team, like what they need.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that I think they do specialize. Like some of them will be in charge of like, I bet they have like a rotating scouting thing when they're planning for the next 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
That like people will watch film on those teams and be like, okay, this has been working against them and we should try this strategy. And
But is that the video coordinator?
maybe how many of these guys are video coordinators? I don't
Well,
know.
right. But I think video coordinator, Kylie, do you know?
Do I know what they are? No, but they probably are
That like,
game film.
yes, that
Yeah.
makes sense because 2 of them that I've looked up and I can't remember who they were, then got hired to be an assistant coach.
I would guess that the video coordinator like edits game film. So I bet that borders on assistant coaches because I bet they have to make some decisions about like what they want to show. And then I bet the assistant coaches watch that film to scout and then have a meeting with the coach to be like, okay, we should play zone,
Mhm.
whatever. And then I bet they have to rotate that because that would be that's like a long job. Like that takes a lot of work to watch film and make a strategy or whatever. But it's too many guys. It's so many guys and they're all guys.
Deep coaching bench for sure.
Yeah.
Are there any women coaches in the NBA?
Good question. In 2022 and 2023, there was a total of 6 female coaches in the NBA.
Yeah.
Assistant coaches, though.
Well, just as coaches, but
Okay.
There are
They-
definitely no women's head
they
coaches.
are all in the WNBA. So maybe they prefer to be in the WNBA anyways.
Probably. We're going to cover the WNBA in the summer.
Oh, we
That'll be
are.
season 2.
We're Toronto's about to get a WNBA team. Watch out.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. But they're called, what's the name? Something kind of unusual.
Tempo. I love it. Some people have really hated on it in Toronto, but I think it's great. The Tempo is like was chosen because it's like representing like Toronto is a big city and it's fast paced and basketball is fast paced. And what I thought was the coolest reason why they chose it, because in French, it's the same spelling and Canada's dual language. So
Yeah.
they wanted to make it easy that French speaking Canadians could know the name. It didn't have to be translated because everything in Canada, all labels, everything has French and English. So now they don't have to have more than, they could just say tempo. It doesn't say tempo and then some French word below it, which they normally would do. So I thought that was actually quite clever and inclusive. And you know me, I love my inclusivity.
We're on the record. We like inclusivity. I'm pro.
I'm really excited to see what their mascot looks like. And
That will be
I hope
interesting.
it's a metronome. Okay, back to this game.
Yeah, go.
Okay, so the gist of this game, it was Kids Day at the Garden. This was on New Year's Eve. It was a 3 p.m. start. We opened with the kids singing the Canadian national anthem.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and then she sings the American national anthem. And I gotta say, like, she wasn't really that good. Like, why have her sing both?
Do you think they get really excited when it's an afternoon game?
The announcers were saying like, so the game was like super slow start, like no score. The announcers even said it was like a baseball game. One of them kept saying like, I think it's because it's a 3 p.m. start.
Yeah, the rhythm to their day, I'm sure, is like crazy different when it's an afternoon
I know.
start.
I bet they didn't get their naps in.
You're joking, but I bet that's actually true.
Yeah.
I've heard Tatum talk about like his nap.
Yeah, when you watch, well, they usually do with like the big superstars in the league. They'll do like a little recap of like what their day is like before a 7 p.m. game, and it is full. They're like at first thing in the morning, and then they've got shoot around, and then they eat, and then they take a nap, like doing more warm-up stuff like in the gym. So yeah, I reckon that it definitely has an impact on their rhythm when they have to play earlier in the day.
I bet they're also like, oh man, we'll be home by 7.
Yeah, and it was New Year's Eve, so they're probably like, sweet, let's go out to my cousin's bar.
My cousin's bar down in South.
Definitely the 12th man on the bench is thinking like, God, this is great. I still get to have New Year's. But like Tatum is not thinking about New Year's Eve.
Yeah, he's going home, going to bed.
Okay, so the game was really slow. At the end of the first quarter, Derek White got his 400th offensive block. Good job, Derek.
I think Wembayana, I think he has 400 blocks this season.
Yeah, he'll get close to that this year for sure, 400. But Derek White's probably a foot and change shorter than him. Yeah, he's like the best shot blocking guard, I think, in the league, which is pretty cool. But congratulations. Good job.
Okay, quarter 2, the announcers increased this to a football score, is what they said.
Better than baseball.
And then the Raptors finally scored a 3.
Good job.
Halfway through quarter 2. That's nothing to write home about. I'll tell you that much.
It was just like kind of the first 3 quarters of this game were very messy. They were like boring. And then to me, it looked like no one was playing well, including Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, definitely in the first quarter and a half, there was a lot of missage. Like the shooting percentage was low for both teams.
Okay, so then it's halftime. So we've been talking about free throws and how there's so many and how they're really boring. But here's what I was wondering, because during free throws, they often show ads or do like just like a verbal ad. Like, well, the Celtics game is always Jason Stone, attorneys at law.
Is it?
Injured? Better phone Stone.
Celtics or Nuggets?
The Celtics.
So,
Jason Stone? Do you know him?
I don't.
Well, I hope he's listening and gives us, like, I'll take Jason Stone, attorneys of law, as a sponsor. Injured, better phone Stone. Anyway, I think that the NBA might like free throws because they are making more money.
I like it. I like that theory.
That's my theory. So then there's the third quarter. It's okay, but not great. The fourth quarter, they said Scotty Barnes is taking a seat. That's probably it for him. Is it because I wasn't really paying attention, but like, was Scotty Barnes playing the entire time?
Essentially what they're saying is they're giving up. They're like, we're not going to win this game. We're on the road for 6 more days. We got more games. So let's save our first line, our starters, give them a rest, take them out. They put a second string of guys in, essentially knowing they're not going to win. But then when the Celtics, like maybe the other team, like in this case, the Celtics also puts their second string in because they're winning by so much. But they're essentially saying, all right, well, we're throwing in the towel, but we have to finish the game.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so then at the end of the game, the Celtics won. It was 71-125.
Really
That's
bad.
a lot. And a lot of that was at the very end.
Yeah. I think the Celtics won, like last year, they might have won 3 or 4 games by 50 or more points, which is just bananas.
Bananas.
Never
right.
I actually saw your notes before I had watched the game, and I hadn't actually seen the score of the game either. And then I was like, oh, that's really bad. And then I was watching the game, and I was like, the whole game, I was like, am I watching the right game? Because they're not losing by that much. Like, it was like a 10-point difference, maybe 15 for most of the game until the fourth quarter, and they just ran away with it. And I was like, oh, yep, this is the right game. It's really bad.
Yeah.
Raptors don't have a deep bench. So when they take off their starters and put these other guys in, it's just like, no, it's not happening. Can't even imagine what those guys feel like when they go in the locker room. Like, as a coach, what do you even say? Like, good try? Is it?
Well, I watched the post-game interview.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Yeah. With both coaches. Okay. Because Mazzulla, he's my new favorite in the NBA of everyone. We'll get to that later. But then I wanted to see what the Raptors coach would say. And that's basically what he said. He was just kind of like, we tried our best, blah, blah, blah. We have things to fix. And that's when I started wondering, and that's my question coming up. Do they ever fire a coach mid-season?
Because I didn't actually know they fired coaches mid-season. But yeah, the Kings did, which the Kings firing their head coach mid-season is shocking after how well they've been doing in the previous seasons until now. To blame that all on the coach is like maybe not the case. Like maybe a new coach isn't going to fix that. Like maybe it's the players, the dynamic on the team. Like they were very successful the past couple seasons.
Do you think that the Raptors coach right now is in a position where he's probably going to get fired? Or do you think, like, what do you think's going to happen?
Not yet. He just got there. So no, yeah, he came at the end of last season, or he was there last season.
Who is it?
Marko Rajakovic. And he had a good reputation in a Euro League or something like that. Anyways, he's new, so no. And like everyone knows the Raptors are rebuilding. Isn't a high expectation of winning. It's they're starting to find the right fit to make a winning team again. And it's not all the coach's fault. It's also head office's fault for who they recruit and who they trade for. They never trade for like A-list players ever, except when they got Kawhi. That's the only A-list player they had. They kind of made an A-list player with Vince Carter. He became one. And Lowry kind of had that a little bit. But then as soon as Lowry left the Raptors, he was like nobody. He went to the Heat and now he's on the Sixers and he's a bench player. I guess Siakam is maybe almost an A player now, but that didn't happen really till after he got traded to Indiana. He's like playing better. So there's just so many variables. It's not all the coach's fault. Like, their team, they have a lot of young guys. They have a lot of no names. One of the like starting players now was like a first round draft pick last year, but played all of last year pretty much in the G League. So really, this is his first year like in the NBA, and he's improving a lot. But they're young.
This is not necessarily my take, but it's something I think about a lot. Is that an underrated thing to think about is job preservation?
Yeah,
and the general managers of these teams, I think, spend a lot of time with the owners, much more than the coaches do.
Yeah.
And so the general managers, like, it's very easy to picture conversations with the owner of, especially when a team isn't meeting expectations. So like, that's more what was happening with the Kings, is that like, you're right, Kiley, they've been good and they've been a little bit stagnant the last couple of years. Like 2 years ago, they had this run where they were better than anyone thought they should be. And they've kind of been like, last year, they sort of stayed there. I think maybe they lost a playing game or the first round last year. But then, and this year, they're like still kind of like right around 500. They're not like great. And it's very easy for me to picture a GM being with the owner and saying like the coach just isn't like getting them going. Because the GM's like, oh, I built this team and they're not winning. But to be like, to just say like this coach is not doing what he needs to do in order for us to win, like getting that in the owner's head, and the owner's like, okay, let's start with the coach.
But then you also have to think about like player dynamics, like when they're trading players so frequently, and not necessarily in the Kings roster has been similar, but they just got DeMar DeRozan, who's a great player. He's like an A-list player, also used to play for the Raptors, but like maybe he's just not gelling with the team. And like, that's not the head coach's fault. That would be the upper GM and the owner's fault for trading for him, thinking that he was going to be the thing that they needed. And then he's not the right piece, you know, like, there's also,
and I also wonder like how, like the, like player empowerment, which I think overall is like a good thing. What I was wondering is like, how much influence does a coach have necessarily? I mean, like, is LeBron James listening to JJ Redick be like, hey, you should shoot better?
Right. Is that how he coaches?
Yeah, that's probably most of what he says. Like, guys, throw it in. But I like the player, for a player to be like, look, you're not using me for what I'm good at here. It would take a really special kind of coach to actually get the ear of these like many time over millionaires who are like been told they're great for their whole life. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't necessarily have a judgment about that, but I'm sure there are dynamics for players who like, I'm actually not going to listen to you. Anyway.
Well, that's to say, I don't think Darko's going to get fired yet. Not mid-season.
Okay, good.
Because they're not supposed to be winning, right? Like
Nick Nurse coached the Raptors for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And they were shit for quite a few of those years because they were also rebuilding. And then, not on Nick Nurse's decision-making, but on probably Masai's decision-making, they traded for Kawhi and then they won a championship. Probably not all Nick Nurse doing either. They had Kawhi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then Kawhi never wanted to be in Toronto, so he asked for a trade as soon as that season ended, traded Kawhi, and the Raptors immediately went downhill.
Yeah.
And then they traded every guy who was on the championship team within 2 years and fired Nick Nurse.
Wow.
Fired everyone,
like,
coach,
What have
all
you
the
done for me?
starters. Like, that's the GM's fault.
Seems
Anyway.
messy. There should be a reality show about
It's political. There's a lot of politics. Sorry, quick side note. I'm obviously a big Raptors fan. I'm from Toronto and know who Nick Nurse is, could spot him in a crowd. And 2 summers ago, I was in an airport I think I was in Texas. I was flying back from New Orleans and I was waiting. I had like given my ticket to the agent to go on the little like runway ramp onto the plane, and we're in the line waiting to get on the plane. And I'm chatting to the people I'm with, and I just turn around casually and it's Nick Nurse behind me in line. And this is right after he'd been fired from the Raptors and got the job with the Sixers. And I was so shocked. I went, holy Nick Nurse, right to his face.
What did he say?
He was so nice. He was like, hi. I'm like, oh my God, you're the head coach of the Raptors. I'm like, oh, sorry. I know you just got fired. I'm like, that's and I was like, I'm so sorry. I really like you. The Raptors should have kept you. I'm like, but it's not bad to go to the Sixers, because at that time, the Sixers were like big contenders for the championship team. I was like, that's kind of a level up for you. And then he was just so nice. And he was like, yeah, I'm really sad to be leaving Toronto. I love it. And he's got kids. He's like, my family loves Toronto. And he's like, it was a bit of a surprise. So I'm a bit bummed. He's like, I'm actually just coming back on my way back to Toronto from like coaching meetings in Philadelphia. Anyway, he was a super nice guy. And I was really starstruck by seeing an NBA coach.
That's really cool. Kiley has to go. What a treat. Kiley, it was so fun to have you here and to just see you in general.
I know. Do you have any parting words about basketball, this game, any like just life advice?
I would say don't give up on the Raptors. They're terrible right now. They're terrible, but they have potential. They traded this for some good guys at the end of last season, so they're just trying to find their rhythm. So don't give up on the Raptors.
I'll keep
But
it.
if you don't want to watch any more Raptors game this season, it's okay too. Come back next year. We'll see you there.
Kiley, you're the best.
But yeah, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. Sorry that I have to like dine and dash here, but it's been a treat. And maybe it was good enough that you'll invite me back for a second round.
Absolutely.
100%.
I love talking about basketball. I can talk about basketball all day.
Me too.
I love that. I love that for you.
Me too.
Okay. Love you guys.
Bye. So the announcers, listen, because we have Scalabrini and Drew Carter, they don't say anything quirky or weird, really. So there's not a lot to make fun of.
How did you feel about that?
It's kind of sad.
Yeah, right?
But I did, they have a good, they like tease each other sometimes.
Yeah.
Like they seem to be friends and I like that.
Yeah.
So, but my favorite was Abby Chin.
Okay.
Her son's name is Silas.
Oh,
I know.
so is mine.
I know. Okay, I really liked her because she had this comment where she said, Celtics are up by 16, feels like more. I
Oh,
was like, yes, that is exactly what I want from my commentator.
Tater. Did she say it like snarky?
Yeah.
Oh, that's like a thing. That's an expression.
What?
Where-
Feels like more?
Yeah, where like when you watch a game and you get the sense that one team is dominating, and then you look up and you're like, huh, this actually is not that.
Maybe it was normal, but I interpreted it as snarky.
I love that.
Because sometimes I say that about things.
Yeah, you've been married for 20 years, feels like a lot more. Kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, then another comment was bee sting on the glass. Is that a thing? Bee sting?
One word, bee sting
Mm,
or bee sting?
I don't know.
A bee sting, and when an athlete is a beast, that means they're like good and big and strong. So if it's BEAST, like bee sting on the glass, that means like you're being a beast. You're getting.
Wait, is that a thing? Because I wrote down bee sting.
I don't know.
Didn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't. That
Do
doesn't
they
make
say
sense.
bee sting?
Wait,
BEASTING?
yeah,
What?
yeah.
And I heard it as bee sting.
Bee sting. Careful. They should,
That's why I was like, what?
they should get an exterminator. Well, that doesn't need to be a problem. They have
I
millions
thought
of
it
dollars.
was like the ball just touches the back.
Oh, I
like
see.
a bee sting.
No, one word, bee sting.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's a.
I
But that's
misunderstood.
yeah, that's not really a verb, right? Beasting. Yeah, that's probably not a real.
Beasting is not a thing that
No.
I've heard either.
Yeah.
Beasting, Beasting.
Yeah, I've never thought about that. That's really funny.
Okay, then I can't remember who said it, but Pritchard rocking the baby with that crossover. What?
I don't know exactly what that. I think they're just talking about like side to side, like a big side to side motion.
Okay.
Which is a good thing for a crossover. If you get your defender moving one way and then cross back the other way, I would guess that's what that means.
That makes sense.
I don't love it as an expression though. That should be your next target.
We'll keep an eye out. I'll see if it comes up again. Okay, so then they were talking about Jaylen Brown and they called him Aquaman. They said that's Aquaman right there. And so I was wondering, like, what are they talking about? Is that a nickname he goes by?
Okay.
Do you know about this?
His summer workouts?
Nope.
Oh, no.
Oh, maybe. But what I found is that this is so cringy. He had a tweet where he took off Jason Momoa's face as Aquaman and put his own on.
He tweeted that?
Yeah.
Yikes.
And then I don't have Twitter because Elon Musk and everything he stands for.
Yeah.
So I can't read the comments, but apparently the fans just roasted him.
I bet. That's weird. Oh, his summer work, he like brings weights into a pool, like a really deep pool, I don't know, like 20 or 30 feet deep pool. And we'll do like jumps off the bottom up to get air. And go down and jump again. There's cool videos of it online. I wonder if that's why he did that.
That brings it all together. That's less random. Okay, then one of them said, keep in mind this is a Raptors team that can't stop a nosebleed.
Oh.
And then they said hit the green light special just because you can. And then green light special came up again. Is that a thing?
Do you know what the context was? What was happening in the game?
So it was twice. So later, this is one of my questions. The officials used to wait when those plays would go out of bounds. They're getting that ball in and going. They don't want the coaches hitting those green light specials.
Hitting those green light specials?
Yeah.
I mean, I could guess. I would think that when they say like green light, they're talking about going fast, like moving the ball up the court quickly.
Isn't a green light special something about like a grocery store? Isn't that like a
blue plate special?
Yeah, or like a fire sale kind of.
The only other thing that I can think is if the review process. It sounds like they were talking about reviewing a play. If you press a button that turns on a green light at the scorer's table that says like, hey, I want to review this play. I totally made that up. Okay. That could be completely wrong. I want to look that up. This is someone on Reddit. But the question is, what is Scal always referring to the green light special?
Oh, it's a specific thing. I love this for us.
And then it says coaches challenges activates a green light near the booth.
Like you said.
Like I said. I'm just looking to see if there's any. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, coach's challenge, green light special.
You know what? We should put a little trademark symbol by that. That's a Scalabrini trademark phrase.
You and Scal?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should.
I mean, in my notes, I'll put like a little trademark.
Yeah, you should get in on that. You deserve it.
I do. Is outside the yard the same as outside the paint?
I don't know, and I googled it. I've never heard that expression in a basketball game. Outside the yard.
Drew and Scalabrini are just making stuff up.
On the flip side, see the shining sea.
I know.
It's got to start somewhere, right?
That's right.
And they're trying to mix it up.
Good for them.
Yeah. So outside the yard.
Good for them. Outside the yard.
Maybe it'll really take off.
I like that. I wonder if they were like workshopping that. I wonder if like beforehand they're like, hey, let's say this.
Yeah. I do too, actually. Seriously. I wonder how hard they think about like what expressions they're going to use. The Mike Gorman guy that I keep talking about, I think got advice. Like I either got or gave advice. His expression was got it. Like when the big shot would go in, he would say, got it. There's like great, famous Celtics clips, Larry Bird and stuff, making shots to win games. And he would yell, got it. And everyone announcers need an expression, like a catchphrase.
And holy cow.
Holy cow.
Carry. That's baseball though.
Yeah.
Boring.
You're right. Or the Mike Breen guy who's a national NBA announcer says bang when a shot goes in. Bang. So they have their thing. And so I wonder how hard they workshop that. There was a guy named Marv Albert who when someone would dunk on someone else, I can still hear him. He would go, oh, Pippen with the facial. in like this such a characteristic voice, like only he could say it, but he would just scream facial. It was great.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
and he's not announcing anymore.
I think he hung it up a while ago.
Okay. When you give an offensive rebounder a walk-in three, that's tough. Do you know what that is?
I think so. It doesn't make sense to me, the offensive rebounder, but if a team gets an offensive rebound,
yeah.
Do you know what that means? Like if a team's on offense and takes a shot and then
they grab the ball,
they get the rebound because they're still on offense.
Right.
It's an offensive rebound. What I think they're talking about is if they get the rebound and turn around and pass it out to a person who's behind the 3-point line, a walk-in three. When they say that, I think they're talking about it's very easy to get your footing correct. Like your footwork is easy when you're walking into a 3-pointer.
Oh,
because your momentum's going toward the basket and you can set your feet well. So a walk-in three would be like probably open, no defender near you, and in good rhythm while you're walking toward the basket, so you can get your feet set and shoot it.
Okay, good. Then my next question is, what's a hurdle? But then later in the game, I realized that there's a player whose last name is Hurdle.
You spent a lot of time. Like a hurdle.
Yeah, I did.
Google and all that.
And rewinded it to be like, what did they say? And then just be like, huh, that's weird. And then later I was like, oh,
yeah,
got it. Okay, we talked about that. Okay. Oh, information about a player.
Great.
Okay, so I looked up a couple of people. First of all, I looked up the Raptors are paid in US dollars because I was wondering because they're in the NBA.
Yeah.
But they're living in Canada.
It's an American league.
Yeah. So they're paid in USD.
I wonder how that works.
It sounded complicated.
Do they have?
There's like tax stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Do they have the Canadian bank accounts?
I didn't look into it.
Probably couldn't figure it out.
I don't know. They must.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, they must.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Okay. I looked up Payton Pritchard. He has, I think, an unusual history with basketball in that he went to public high school in Oregon.
Okay.
And then he went to college and played for Oregon for all 4 years. And then he has played for Boston. That's it.
Wow. Right.
Just like the fact that he played 4 years.
3 teams since the beginning of high school.
Yeah.
And played 4 years in college.
Yeah. That's so unusual. He also married a YouTuber. Just saying. Oh, and he's only 6'1".
Yeah. Right. He's having a wild year. He's like, if they were voting right now they have a award called Sixth Man of the Year.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is? Like the
Sixth Man is like the next, it's like not a starter, but the best guy after the starters.
Yeah. Right. So if they were going to vote on that right now, he would win.
Wow. Good for him.
Right. Actually though, like what a long shot.
Yeah.
Got, for him to win that award. Did you look up how long he's been on their team?
I think since 2020 or 2021.
Yeah.
And like a while.
Long way to go. Like barely played for his first couple years and then like found a little bit of a niche as like a sharpshooter guy. But right now he's one of the best players on arguably the best team in the league. It's pretty wild. It's awesome.
Good
for him. Yeah. And also we've talked about the 3-point shot.
Yeah.
A lot. Probably not possible 15 years ago because the teams weren't designed to shoot this many threes 15 years ago. I don't think in a league where a lot more of the action was near the basket around the top players without the spacing. Like, I don't think he would have a career, but with this change, someone who can shoot as well as he can, no matter how small, it's pretty cool.
It is. Proud of Payton Pritchard.
Good job.
Good job. Okay, I also looked up this guy, Jameson Battle.
Okay.
He plays for the Raptors.
Okay.
He went to 3 different colleges, which I think is also like, I did not expect that because everyone I've read about so far, they go to college for like 1 year, maybe 2, and then they go to the NBA.
Yeah.
And then Payton Pritchard went to college for 4 years. But then this guy, Jameson Battle, he was traded, I guess, in colleges. Does the NCAA do that? Do they trade players?
No, transfer. I think like the player makes a decision that like, this is not a great situation for me.
I wonder why he transferred 3 times. Although the last one was Ohio State.
Right. So sometimes what happens is they have like they get a lot better at basketball. They might go to like a small school.
Okay.
And then grow 5 inches and.
Okay. So the opportunity.
Right. So like, okay, I'm going to play at a higher level.
Okay.
Right.
He also likes to play the saxophone.
Oh, fun.
I know. And he signed a 2-way contract, which I couldn't wait to ask what that meant. So I asked August and he said it means he plays for both the G League and the NBA.
Right. Yeah. Swing player, they used to call it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have a game.
Oh, good.
I'm so excited.
Good.
So would you rather?
Okay.
Okay. Would you rather go to a Celtics game wearing a ridiculously oversized novelty hat or shirtless with your whole chest and arms painted green?
Oof. I think that I would rather go shirtless, painted green,
Okay.
because I think I'd be really self-conscious about blocking the view of people behind me.
So courteous of you.
Thanks. If I was sitting like in a back row of something,
Okay.
probably the hat. But I'm assuming
Yeah.
part of this would be like your high profile here.
Well, same question,
Okay.
but you get to meet Jason Tatum at that game,
I have to be doing whatever.
either with the hat or painted green.
Like, I think I would go hat in that situation if I had to meet him.
Okay,
don't
same question. But you also have to participate in a fan player ad campaign where they're like taking your picture with Jason Tatum, and it's going to be like on the buses and some billboards.
Hat.
Okay.
For sure. I'd rather wear the hat. I'm not going to be shirtless on a bus. I can't do that.
Okay, would you rather have Dennis Rodman or Jokic as your therapist?
Whoa. Dennis Rodman or Jokic as my therapist?
Yeah.
Me right now, today.
Yeah. And you can't just talk to them about basketball.
Okay. I got to bring up my issues and try to get their help. It's got to be Jokic, right? It's got to be. Yeah, Rodman's the persona of that guy. I'm not looking for advice from him.
Same question, but it's couples counseling.
Jokic.
Same question, but family counseling. So the kids are there.
Jokic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same question, but it's an intervention for your best friend.
I can't see a world where Rodman decides an intervention is a good idea, like is supportive and helpful there.
True.
I think Jokic would at least be quiet or like judgy in the corner, but not like actively.
You'd be like really promoting equine therapy.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Jokic for all of them. If I had to pick Rodman for one, I think it would be individual, because I feel like I could try to manage whatever damage his therapeutic advice might give.
But you don't have to pick him for one. It's okay.
Okay. A Jokic across the board. Jokic is my therapist.
Okay, great. Okay, would you rather have season tickets to the Celtics, but the seats are way up high, or courtside seats once a year? And you live near the garden.
Good. I think a lot of it depends on like my life circumstance, like with my kids' age, and with my life now just in Boston.
Let's say you get 4 season tickets or 4 courtside seats.
I think I would do courtside seats for one game.
Okay.
Because it wouldn't fit into our life to go to 42, 41 Celtics games in a year.
You don't have to go to all of them.
Okay. I still think the courtside thing, like later empty nesting, could be totally a fun thing to have, like those tickets and go, just grab Emily and go check out a few games every month or whatever. But for my life now, I think courtside, I've never done that. Courtside would be like, I think probably incredible, like the speed and the size and the skill and like all. I think that would be like a really, really different experience than watching it on TV.
For sure. Same question.
Yeah.
But they play the Wizards for every single game.
Ooh. The courtside.
Yeah. Same question, but you have to wear a ridiculously oversized novelty hat or paint your chest green with the shamrock on it.
So every game I would have to paint a green shamrock on my chest?
Yeah.
if I got the cheap ones?
Yeah.
It's courtside. Yeah.
Like that one guy. Maybe that's what happened to him.
Right? He was playing a game of Would You Rather on a podcast.
Okay. Would you rather have Jameson Battle play his saxophone for you, never breaking eye contact, or have Brooke Lopez list his top 100 favorite Disney characters?
Never breaking eye contact?
Yes.
Strictly a matter of which would be shorter.
Oh, I think they're the same.
Okay. Okay. How long are we talking?
Well, 100 Disney characters is probably like
Is he reading a list or is this
I
extemporaneous?
think he's like, well, number 100 is Mickey.
Pluto, but staring at me the whole time. Wolf. And the saxophone would be as long as that. I mean, what
Yeah,
you just
5 minutes. Like, let's say 5 minutes.
And
Battle's like, Sam, I want to play this song I wrote.
look at me. Look at me. I think the Disney list.
Okay, same question, but you have to do it while playing poker with Michael Jordan.
They're logistical. I need to look at the cards. I don't know how I can do both. But that, I think that would change the answer for the first time.
You want the saxophone, like a little music. You'd be like this, like
To throw off Michael Jordan. Sure. Saxophone.
okay. That's the Would You Rather game.
Great game. Good
Yeah.
questions.
Thank you. Okay, so we're at the end now.
Okay.
My MVP. My MVP is Joe Mazzulla for being sassy. Let me show you.
45 points in the first half and 45 in the third quarter alone. What did you see that changed that allowed you guys? Was it just shots were going in, or what was different for you guys in that quarter? Yeah, shots were going in. Yeah.
I love it. But then there's this one. Context. Scalabrini's interviewing Mazzulla about the game and goals. He's like, what about New Year's goals? They had talked about the cold plunge.
New Year's goals for the team?
For him, I think.
Okay.
So he had talked about the cold plunge. And this is Brian Scalabrine talking to Mazzulla about him trying the cold plunge.
Okay.
I would say that you have inspired me. I've been jumping in the pool. Yeah. I'm not lasting 5 minutes, but I'm getting closer. You shouldn't tell people that.
Like the deadpan?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I would be so scared to ever talk to him because he like doesn't give a I love it.
Yeah.
though, when it's not me.
Yeah.
Did you have an MVP for this game?
Let's go Pritchard. This combined with his story, just kind of another good game in this kind of improbable season. I like it.
Yeah, good for him.
LVP.
The Raptors.
Yeah,
Sorry,
71,
guys.
71 points.
That was real bad.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, most confusing part. This is Sam Hauser, and no one will high five him. He's so awkward. And then again, they do eventually pay attention. He's just like, finally, somebody
Yeah, that
high
was a
five.
long time.
Yeah. So that was my most confusing part, that no one will like high five Sam Hauser, who seems really into high fiving.
Yeah, he did look excited about that.
August said you'd be surprised how often that happens. So I'm going to look out for it now.
Yeah, they high five a lot.
Or
don't.
They're like, oh, Sam Hauser again.
Yeah, we get it. You like high fiving. Enough. That was your most confusing part?
Yeah.
I feel like you said something that confused me a little bit.
That's because I say things that are like gibberish.
No. The thing that I'm left wondering the most is the Raptors getting paid in US dollars.
Oh, yeah. That's complicated.
I would like to know how that works. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, what'd you learn?
I learned about Payton Pritchard. I didn't know. That's wild. Like, how many of these players have played for 3 teams since their freshman year of high school?
I think that's what I learned too. I learned that, and did I learn something else?
Beasting.
I can't even believe that's a thing. Beasting.
I can't believe I've never thought about that before.
Okay. I think that's it for today. Good job.
Good job. Bye.
Bye.